Hi people, welcome to the Run Testers, and in this video we've got a newcomer to the running shoe shelves, at least for men anyway. The Lululemon Beyondfeel is Lululemon's first ever men's running shoe. There is a female version of the shoe coming out right now too. It's a neutral daily trainer come easy day shoe that Lululemon says is designed for max cushioning and effortless glide. So does it deliver? Well, we took it for some early miles to get some initial first impressions. Here's how we got on in our first run in the Beyondfeel. Some quick details starting with the stack height then, and the Lululemon Beyondfeel has a 37mm in the heel, 27mm in the forefoot for a 10mm drop. Weight wise, it tips the scales at 11 ounces or 314 grams in the UK men's 8.5 size test shoe. That's about as heavy as daily trainers come up there with the Asics Gel Nimbus 26. When it comes to price, the Lululemon Beyondfeel will set you back £148 in the UK and $158 in the US. So let's give you a really quick shoe whip round then. Starting with the midsole, what you've got here is a stack of supercritical foam that's quite firm to the squeeze test in the heel, a little softer in the forefoot area, with no substantial rockering to speak of. Up top, there's a seamless ventilated mesh. There's quite generously padded heel collars and tongues and laces actually. You've also got these two little overlay clips just forward from the base of the heel, presumably there to improve hold and security. Flip them over and you've got a pressure mapped outsole here with high abrasion, high traction rubber for flexibility, says Lululemon. There's quite an aggressive grip here for a road shoe actually. It almost lugs across the whole base of the shoe. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. We'll see how that rides on our first run. Now when it comes to fit, I've got my regular running shoe size here, which is a UK 8.5. Interestingly, the Lululemon website warns that the shoes use US sizes and run small. That's the UK website says that anyway. But here's how I found it once it was on the foot. The way I'll describe these fit, there's really good heel hold from those big sort of padded collars. I get good lockdown across the top from the lacing. That big padded tongue takes anything off. Lace pinch, they hold well across the midfoot. There's no slipping, particularly in that kind of rear portion. Just felt well cradled, well looked after from that point of view. Up into the toe box, I think you've got this kind of flexible sort of uppers that there's plenty of flex across the top of the toe box because the uppers are flexible and you can wiggle your toes. And overall, there's really sort of good space in the toe box. I'd say, you know, like a middling kind of volume up there. No complaints about that. They feel just the kind of right side of hugging overall, really, but you can kind of get that flex, which makes them a comfortable fit for me, and I recommend going true to size in these shoes.
Like all of Lululemon's running shoes, the fit is a little bit confusing for the UK market. I am a UK 5, I always run in a UK 5, and then most shoes, that's a US 7. In the Lululemon shoe, a UK 5 is a 6.5, and I found that the 5 comes up too small. This is a 5.5, which is a US 7. I don't know if I've confused you more, but basically size up a little bit because I think they come up a little bit small. So I have sized up half a size. This is a UK 5.5, and I found I've got a good amount of room in the toe box, and I get a really good locked in feel in this shoe. They've done that really well. Your foot doesn't move and it is comfortable when it's on your foot. I love the look of the shoe. I really like Lululemon's running shoes from a design point of view. I don't think they've gone mad with their logo. So, you know, I think they look cool, and they come in loads and loads of different colours, and they've done, you know, really beautiful colours. You get a lot of choice, and I think I kind of like that the logo's kind of hidden. It's not really in your face, and yeah, I like the design and I like the fit of this shoe.
Now, so I've actually done two first runs in these shoes, or I've done two runs actually. I did two sets of basically easy 10Ks in the one yesterday, one today, just finished the second one. And the way that I would describe these shoes is that they are firm, big blocker, kind of quite firm foam underfoot, not particularly kind of rockered. I think it's quite a flat landing and there's a firmness to them. The initial shoe that came straight into my mind was the new Under Armour Infinity, whatever that was, that we tested a while back. It was quite firm. The thing is, after a few miles, they do soften up a little bit, but when you first put them on, you're a bit like, oh, I'm running on quite kind of harsh blocks that feels quite old school compared to many of the shoes that we've tested now with foams that, you know, a bit softer, they're a bit punchier, they're a bit livelier, so you're getting that kind of softness and the spring from them. I don't really get that from this. This definitely, to me, fits into the sort of bracket of a shoe where you're going to land firm, you've got to clip over your feet quite quickly in order to kind of offset that. They are quite a heavy shoe on the foot. That said, when you're clipping, they don't feel too bad. They're not too cumbersome. I do like the kind of roomy sort of uppers and the flex. Yeah, but my overriding feeling here from sort of the first impressions in the shoes that a lot of people are going to just find them too blocky and a bit too firm, even when they've settled down after a few miles. It'd be interesting to see whether or not they soften up more as I put more and more miles into them, and then when you first put them on, that midsole starts to break in and be a little bit more forgiving and a little bit more protective. But even on the recovery runs, you're going to feel the pavement coming up through, you're going to feel that ground. I quite like a firm shoe, stiff shoe, so I don't mind that I can clip along happy in them. And you know, if I'm going to make some comparisons here, to me they feel a bit like the old sustainable shoes that we might have tested, where, you know, they're okay, but they're just a little bit too sort of rock solid underfoot. And I think things have shifted on a bit. Like, you know, if you like a Nimbus, like a New Balance 1080, you like a Ghost Max, you like all of those shoes that are good kind of easy day shoes that you could just eat miles happily with sort of soft cushioning. This isn't that. This is kind of the opposite end of it. I again compare it to some of the kind of more firm Ultra shoes. It doesn't really benefit from having a pronounced sort of rock ring to help with that kind of stiffness and roll through. So there's not a huge amount of response from them either. I think overall you're going to be doing quite a lot of the work in these shoes. That's how I felt on those first 2 runs.
So the run test, for a max cushioned running shoe and for a shoe with quite a lot of foam, I expected this to be super cushioned. Obviously, we all know I love a really cushioned running shoe. Nike Invincible is kind of my bag. That really plush sink-in comfort. You do not get that with this shoe. It is really firm. For a shoe that's max cushioned, it is a firmer shoe. Of course, that is not a bad thing. There's no reason why you can't run long distances in a firmer shoe, and it is a comfortable running shoe to run in. I've done some easy miles. I've just had a baby, so I'm coming back into walking and running, and I've done some treadmill running and some easy miles in this running shoe, and it is a nice shoe for easy miles. I think if you're expecting a max cushioned running shoe or something like with a lot of bounce, this definitely isn't that shoe. It does soften towards the end of the run after a few miles, but it's not a shoe that you're going to sink into, and when you put it on the next time it feels firm again. It is definitely a firmer shoe. That said, it's definitely my favourite running shoe that Lululemon have made. It's got a lot more responsiveness than something like the Blissfeel, which I always found a little bit clunky, and I wore the Blissfeel for a 5k race, I remember, in Battersea Park, and there just wasn't enough there for it to be my hips and my knees the next day felt that I hadn't had enough, you know, underfoot to really support me. You definitely have more support, more cushioning, and this feels like a more responsive, serious running shoe. So it's definitely my favourite running shoe that Lululemon have made.
So my verdict after essentially sort of 12 miles in the Beyondfeel is that I just find these shoes a little bit, you know, not great. Don't hate them, don't love them. I don't think they're necessarily going to be on a par once we've done all the testing in them with many other shoes. Yeah, to me, it just feels a little bit like some of the Under Armour shoes we've tested in the past, like a Machina or something, where it just feels a bit bricky and a bit blocky. A little bit of the edge taken off by a sort of softish footbed, and it does soften up a little bit more as you get into it. But these shoes are not going to set the world on fire, and I just don't think, yeah, it's going to be, I think overall, when I've done more miles, I'm still going to find them hard to recommend. It's definitely a kind of okay, you know, but in the world where we've got some really good competitive daily trainers and easy shoes out there that offer great versatility, offer really good comfort, I'm just not sure that these shoes have nailed it. As ever, it's a couple of first runs, so I will reserve the full verdict until we've done the review and done lots more miles in them. Maybe they soften up, maybe they get better, but first impressions off that first run are, yeah, it's kind of an okay, not blown away, and I don't really hold out too much hope for these to be overall a winning shoe.
So my verdict, this is an everyday running shoe. It's what Lululemon claims it is, and they've done that right. It's definitely probably not a shoe you'd want to reach for if you're going to race really quick in, but I think if you like the look of the Blissfeel but you've always wanted a little bit more cushioning or a bit more support or a bit more underfoot, this is the shoe for you. I think it looks great, and I think Lululemon fans will absolutely love it. Is it the best everyday running shoe on the market? Probably not. I think I would still reach for something like the Asics Gel Nimbus 25 or 26 over this shoe, just because it's a max cushion shoe with a lot more bounce. It feels plush under your foot when you're running, and that's something you don't get in this shoe. But I will be doing some more miles in it. The foam might soften up, and it might be a shoe you kind of have to break in. But in the miles I've done in it, I haven't really spotted that. It feels softer by the end of the run, but not not in a way, not to compare to the Asics, but we'll be doing more miles than it. We'll be doing some comparisons, and yeah, but a good everyday running shoe for sure, and the best Lululemon running shoe on the market at the moment.
So then there you have it. That has been our first impressions of the new Lululemon Beyondfeel. We hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to ring the bell for more great Run Testers videos when they land, including the full review of this shoe once we've done the requisite testing miles in them. If you're interested in daily trainers, I'm going to pop a video on the channel right about now that you should definitely watch. Otherwise, as ever, thanks very much for popping by. Appreciate you coming and watching, and we hope to see you again soon on the Run Testers. Happy running, people.